Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek The Original Series, Season 3, Episode 24. It is the final episode of the original series. It is called Turnabout Intruder, so full spoilers for the episode, as always. And I think it was funny, my first observation about this one, which is, it's a body swap episode. This woman who knew Kirk in his past, Janice Lester, swaps her body with him. She always wanted to be a captain, and she tries to, take it by force by becoming Kirk, right? And Kirk's in her body and confused and try to solve that. That's the plot of the episode.
And dying.
What struck me about because where they were, this archaeological dig, they're all ill from being down there. Yeah. But what really struck me about this episode is that Trek, of course, doesn't really have ongoing plots. Very standalone episodes, and this is still a standalone episode, but it's actually kind of funny. I feel like this one, out of the entire show, probably knowing it was the last one, actually felt a little bit more. Because there's a couple of things that are referenced at one point, because Kirk tried to convince Spock that it's him, like, hey, remember this and this and this, and it actually references other episodes. But even just the premise of Kirk trying to prove that it's him, and Spock, who's mind melded with him, try to prove it to the rest of the main crew. By in all the adventures we've been on, we have seen so many impossible things. Surely this is something you could consider. I'm like, that's actually just kind of feel, and is most in a way that Star Trek could be in fairly standalone episodes, taking all the experiences of the entire show and saying, hey, that's all relevant right now.
No, I agree. It's funny because early on in the episode, I was like, really? We're doing a body swap episode for the last one? That's what we're doing? That feels underwhelming.
Yeah, but by the time
it played up these things later.
Yeah, by the time it gets to the trial, because once Spock tries to believes that it's actually Kirk that's in Janice's body, once fake Kirk becomes aware of this, he puts him on trial for mutiny, and it's this trial. This trial's fantastic. I think this episode has some problems. I think her whole thing is she says that there's a glass ceiling at the start. She's like, oh, I never got to be a captain because I'm a woman, and I'm of two minds about this, because on the one hand, it's true that we've never, in the original series up until this point, we have never seen any high-ranking women officer, right? That's just not happened yet. So,
no.
Admittedly, I feel like that's more to do with real-world politics than it is to do with Trek's and universe politics. But, I mean, that's,
Yeah, especially if you start considering things that are set, around this time period, like Discovery.
Yeah.
Can't throw that out the window, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. You start to think of Discovery now, knowing that, and it's like, okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But even just in the context of forgetting the rest of Star Trek exists, just where they were at this point in the 60s, I don't think the show up until this point, the way they speak about how things have kind of worked out in the future and how the Federation and
there's never been any implication that women struggle to get those jobs.
Yeah, there's never been that feeling that that's also true. I mean, it's true that we've never seen it because, like I say, I think the real world politics of the male actors have to be the leads and so on. But
that's true. Yeah,
I don't think in universe it's felt like that's been the case up until now.
I will say, in terms of other starship captains, I feel like we've only actually seen a handful over the course of the show.
That's true. No, that is true. So we've not really had much of an example, but so that just rang a bit weird to me at the start. It was like, I don't know if everything I'm told about the Federation and Starfleet and the United planets, like it doesn't sound like this
really
is the case.
Does it?
Yeah,
because you see how you got Uhura, who's a lieutenant, relatively high rank.
Which, by the way, it's a shame she's not in this one. She's the only one missing.
Yeah, I agree.
From an episode that becomes about all the main crew, including Sulu and Chekhov, who are very rarely together. They're usually one or the other. Like, they're together in this, having scenes on their own, like talking to each other about what's going on. Like, it feels like, they're finally getting a little moment. Like,
it feels especially glaring given that it's about, okay, can women advance in Starfleet, right?
Yeah, I wonder what happened where she's because she wasn't around for the last couple, so it feels kind of. I mean, it might not be anything bad. Maybe she was pregnant. It might have
just been a scheduling thing.
Yeah.
She was off to film something else. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe she was just doing something important and she couldn't be here.
Maybe she's only contracted for 20 episodes a season. She'd already done all her 20. They didn't want to pay extra for the last few.
Yeah, so we have this random other woman who was here in the last couple as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the motivations of her in the context of the show are a little bit murky. Some of the early stuff is whatever, but I like the performance from Shatner. Playing not him, playing Janice as him. I like the overall messaging of like he's not just a good captain because because he is the captain. Like almost within like an hour of her being in Kirk's body, the crew start to not really follow orders because he's not he's not demanding the respect by being him. He's acting differently and it's making them question Spock first, and then it sort of goes on from there. And I really like the courtroom scene, like when he's trying to he's got her on the stand and it's Kirk in her body, and he's trying to convince he's cracking jokes and everyone's like, aha, this is hilarious. Chekhov and Sulu like, no, this is silly, ridiculous. Of course it's not this. And then Spock gives that speech about, hey, in our time over the last couple of years on this ship, we have seen some amazing things that the science has proved to be true. So I ask you to consider this possibility. And it's like, that is actually kind of convincing in this world, given everything they've encountered. This is not even close to the weirdest thing they've encountered if this is happening.
No, not at all. Do you want to know what I thought was the weirdest and possibly biggest problem I have with this episode?
Go on.
It's that...
I mean, I wasn't done praising it yet, but go on.
No, I want to get this, because this is a... because I don't want to end on this.
All right, okay.
So I want to come back around to some more good stuff after. But they swap bodies, and they have their internal monologue.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't. They swap voices as well. Like you have her, the actress reading Kirk's parts, and Shatner's reading, her parts. And I thought this was so strange and just weird. Like, this is their internal thoughts, and they're thinking in this other person's voice.
I don't think it's that
weird.
weird.
No sense to me. Oh, I think that's so weird.
I mean, it would make sense if it was the other way around, like you're saying, but I think it's just for ease of, like, now she's in his body, so the monologue is his voice, and vice versa. Like, I don't know. It may not make a whole lot of sense, but I don't think it's that confusing. Like, immediately you just get it, and you just go with it.
It just doesn't work for me. I hate it. It's one of these things where there is no reason for it. It just doesn't make any sense. It's one of these things where no. He's still in that body. That's how you show it's him in that body, but it's still him in there. It's still his voice. It's still his mind. That's one of the easiest ways of conveying that. And this here just throws that out the window, and I don't get it.
I don't think it's that big a deal.
I do.
I get the logic. I just don't care that much. It doesn't bother me. It's fine.
It's been bothering me.
It's fine.
It's kept me up at night.
But I'll go back to the courtroom scene though. Like the scene afterwards, during the courtroom scene specifically, where eventually he loses control. She and his body loses control and starts screaming, and he loses his cool, and he's getting agitated. His face is going red, and he's screaming at everyone. This is mutiny! This is mutiny! God damn it! And everyone's like staring at him like, this is not Kirk. And afterwards, McCoy and Scotty are outside and like, I've known the captain angry, I've known him sad, I've known him happy, upset. I have never seen him be like that. That was not Kirk. And they basically plot together. And of course, Kirk being paranoid, fake Kirk, has the room under surveillance and then plays it back to them. It's like, oh, you're going to be, executed as well.
Treachery, yeah.
And again,
it immediately jumps to execution, which is, of course, it's reserved for only certain crimes.
Number 4, it was number 4. And I don't know what number 4 is yet. Maybe we'll find that out in future shows.
I was actually a little bit surprised to learn they still have the death penalty at all.
I wonder what is it? What's number 4? What constitutes the death penalty? But yeah, so then they jump to this, and this is when Chekhov and Sulu basically, now we're going to be part of this. Like, Starfleet doesn't do death penalty unless under these really specific conditions, which has not happened in 100 years. And he's like, oh, tough, we're doing it. And then we have them in the bridge saying, yeah, that wasn't Kirk. There's no way that was Kirk. And he's like, yeah, so what do we do? Well, we can't fight the security if they side with them. He's like, no, we can, I'll fight. Sulu's like, no, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight and not have them executed. And like, they're all sticking up for each other. Sorry?
He should have gone and got his sword.
Oh, sure, yeah. But, like, they're all sticking up for each other, and it's all like, no, we know this is Kirk because he's our captain. We know who he is. So, as much as it's not like a in plot, like, feeling like a finale, the fact that they're all kind of having to, like, stand up for each other in this way. Yeah, it feels like it's kind of a nice wrap-up, emotionally, for the characters.
It does, I agree. It kind of hits those beats, doesn't it?
It does. It feels nice, and they all kind of stick up and say, no, we're not going to do this. Them all realizing one by one that it's really not Kirk. They can see it in their faces. Is really good, and ultimately the bodies switch back just kind of on their own. Like it was always going to happen.
She loses control, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a famous screenshot of this one where they kind of like go spot back for like a split second, and like Shatner's on the chair, but he's like, ooh, his hands up like that.
Yeah.
I've seen that screenshot a bunch of times. So when it happened, I was like, oh yes, so this one's and
finally, we got to that one.
Yeah, the last ever episode is this one. But no, I mean, I think it's got its faults, and it's not the best episode ever.
Yeah,
but
I think it's kind of a flimsy in terms of the plot, right? And the structure. Of,
but
oh yeah, body swap. Oh yeah, guess it just sort of fixed itself.
I easily enjoyed this the most out of the last like 12 episodes, probably something like that.
That might be true. I'd have to double check just to see which ones there were. I feel like maybe there was one.
Well, don't look. We're doing a top 5 in the next episode.
Oh yeah, we are.
Don't spoil where things lie. But what I'm saying is that I think this could appear on the top 5. Like I think this is in this season especially, it's got a solid shot.
In this season, it's a relatively low bar. So yeah,
it is. But I actually really like even if this was in season 2 overall quality, right? I don't know if it'd be on the top 5 necessarily, but I would
I don't think so.
I would still really like this episode, despite its faults.
That's fair.
Right? It's got faults.
I can't argue with that.
But the emotional beats that it hits with the characters.
Its heart's in the right place.
Yeah. The characters connecting and sticking up for each other. Spock sticking up for Kirk. The characters realising because they just know it's not him. And even just the idea is, again, that she loses control as captain because she's just not got those qualities to do it.
Yeah, which I think kind of comes back around and justifies our feeling from the start. You know how we were saying it doesn't feel right to us being told now that, oh yeah, women don't become captains. I don't think that's true. You know, from the end of this, I think it's just her, and she took it and needed a reason.
Yeah.
And she couldn't deal with it. It's just like, no, it's just because I'm a woman.
I could see that. I could see that.
Maybe they do have a harder. I don't know, but we've never had any implication of that in this world.
And to be fair, like, in any other show, I would just take this as like, yeah, sure, this makes sense because that's what life is like. But this show specifically tells us that things have changed, and specifically says, no, things are better. Equality is a thing. We're beyond all this shit.
Yeah, it's kind of been the point of the show.
So, which is why it sticks out. But yeah, but no. The back half of this episode, I kind of straight up love.
Yeah.
From the point, but yeah, even halfway, like I feel like when she gets up and she escapes from the Kirk that is in her body, when she escapes the restraints and she goes running and she comes in the room and she says, Spock, Bones, I need to talk to you guys, like seriously. And Kirk's, fake Kirk's there and he puts an end to it. In fact, he knocks her out immediately. And Spock and Kirk are like, Jim, what are you doing? You just immediately went for a knockout blow. She was no danger. What are you doing? And he's like, no, she was a danger to us. She was dangerous. You could see it in her eyes.
Gotta play it safe.
Yeah. But from that moment, because it occurred to me, like, yeah, every time fake Kirk is referred to McCoy, it's been Dr. McCoy. He's not called him Bones at all. And what I liked about this, there's a nice touch here where after this scene, she does, because she's heard it now, coming from real Kirk.
She knows what she's supposed to do.
Yeah, but before that, she's very formal in a way, and it sounds obviously kind of alien because it's not really how Kirk would speak to him. But no, so I like that. Yeah,
that's a fun little touch.
I really like a lot of this episode. It's just some of the setups a bit murky and here or there.
I think his heart's really in the right place, and it's doing a lot of really great things in spirit. It's just the actual the plot itself that it's wrapped up in is kind of flimsy.
Yeah, but I'll take a slightly flimsy plot if all the payoff is going to feel good. Oh yeah,
definitely.
So, yeah. So I'm happy to say we ended on, I'd say, a pretty good episode overall.
Yeah, relatively strong.
Yeah. There you go. We got one good one at the end. I'm happy about that. So hey, that is us. That is Star Trek: The Original Series. We finished. Now we're going to do a top 5 of season 3 in the next episode. Also with the worst. Usually the last 2 seasons it was the bottom 3. I feel like this one may get a worst 5 because it was
the top 3, bottom 5.
Yeah, we made that joke last time. I think we'll still scrape out a top 5, unless we're like, nah, the 5th one's bad. But I think we could probably scrape a 5.
Yeah, I think just we'll talk about it a bit more in depth, I'm sure, on the top 5. But I don't think this season was quite as bad as I feared it was going to be. It was never very good. It was rarely like, oh, this is a great episode. But and there were definitely some atrocious ones. Don't get me wrong. But the overall quality, I feel, was just very middling.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying that for the last 6 to 8 episodes, where it's like, you know what, the season as a whole's not been as bad as we were expecting. It's not been great, but it's not been absolute trash.
I kept expecting to nosedive at any point though, right? And this is it now, point of no return. It's all awful from here on out, and that never happened.
Yeah. So, So next time we'll be doing our top episodes of the season, and then after that we will be on the movies. We'll be doing Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and then Wrath of Khan, and then Search for Spock, and Voyage Home, and Undiscovered Country. And I skipped Final. We're going to do Final Frontier. I just skipped it there by accident, Freudian slip. So there you go. We're going to do the movies, and then we'll go into Next Generation, which is super exciting. So that is cool. So by all means, let us know what you thought of the final episode in the comments, like and subscribe, all that stuff. If you want to support the channel and the show and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/MaileFuzzTV, and you can support us. You can get these Star Trek reviews a week early. You can do that, and you get a nice warm fuzzy feeling. But we do appreciate it if you go over and check it out and consider being a patron. But otherwise, yeah, get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. But that is it. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Star Trek and space shows, although perhaps not the original series, because we're done. There's no more episodes. So we'll see you for the movie and the bigger budget and the good movie that is highly underrated by the greater whole.
I kind of hope I hate it.
We'll see you next time, guys.